All right, check this out. Snow blanketing parts of the U.S. that are not used to this kind of weather. This major winter storm system moving out of the southern states now, but it's leaving behind bitter cold temperatures and nearly a foot of snowfall in parts of the deep south. Places like Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, and even parts of Florida are facing record level snowfall. Let's take a live look at Interstate 10 in New Orleans. The winter storm prompted authorities to close a 100-mile stretch of that interstate, protecting drivers from dangerous road conditions. Now, this all spans nearly half the state. And this just in, the NBA has postponed the Bucks-Pelicans game due to this storm. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Skyler Henry. He is joining us live from Tallahassee, Florida. It is so bizarre, Skyler, to be coming to you in Tallahassee, Florida with snow in the background. It's just, this is bizarre. How's it feeling for you out there?
I keep saying I'm in the South. I'm in the South. This is not supposed to be happening, and here we are. Record-breaking snow all across the Gulf here. In Tallahassee, it's nearly 2 inches of snow overnight, but to our west specifically, especially in cities like Pensacola, and you pointed out Mobile, New Orleans, all seeing high levels of snow accumulation, in some cases more than 7.5 inches of snowfall.
Wow.
So much so that what are usually white sandy beaches are now white snowy beaches. And so that is something that this part of the region is dealing with. We have spoken with emergency management crews who have talked about the challenges with something like this, especially considering that this is not something that this region is normally accustomed to as far as not only manpower but resources. Remember, there aren't really a whole bunch of snow plows in Florida, let alone Alabama or Louisiana. And so we have seen other states and companies supply the region with their stock to try to help clear some of this historic snow out of the way. Still, the temperatures are bitterly cold here. It is expected to get into the teens tonight here in Tallahassee, and that is something else that crews say that they are concerned about, that refreeze. We're at the slushy portion of this wintry weather event where more cars are on the road, but they say that they are concerned that once this sun goes back down and once these roads start to freeze back over, how dangerous the conditions could potentially be. And so they're still urging people, not only here in Florida, but in Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana as well, to try to stay home if you can because of what challenging conditions could potentially be out there.
Yeah, I've seen a number of cars pass behind you there, Skyler, going pretty fast, and I can imagine they're still kind of getting used to driving in these types of conditions. What happens once the road conditions get so dangerous? Do they just close off the roads, or businesses closed as well?
Well, for a city like Tallahassee, a bunch of different things. As for businesses, just yesterday we saw many of them shut down shops relatively early, restaurants, gas stations, supply stores, all saying we're trying to make sure that our employees can get home safely. But you pointed out that major corridor, I-10, 100 miles of so west of where we are, all shut down so that crews can properly treat the roads and do what it is that they need to do. And remember, there isn't exactly salt and brine mixture in surplus here, and so they're using sand to try to treat many of these roadways here, doing the best that they can, especially concerned about those elevated roads, those bridges, those high roads leading up to the interstate that could potentially get really slick, especially as the conditions continue to drop here. And so they say that they will continue to try to treat this as a first issue, first come basis, trying to maintain safety for everyone involved. We have seen DOT crews up and down this major roadway here, one of the on-ramps onto I-10. But we should also point out again that they say that if you do not have to be on these roads, do not come out here, because they are continuing to try to do their work. Still states of emergency in certain parts of Georgia and Florida in specific counties because of the icy conditions. And then, not to mention, there is the concern surrounding power outages. We know that there are tens of thousands of them, not only here in Florida, but Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana. So the snow can be fun, but the South certainly dealing with the impacts of what comes after.
Sure, those power outages could mean lack of heat for a lot of folks who rely on that for their heat. Skyler Henry, I'm sure you woke up thinking, I did not sign up for this. I'm in the South. I'm not used to these types of conditions. Try to stay warm, bud. But I thought that was so interesting that they're using sand instead of salt. They're sort of using what they got to help with these conditions.
You gotta do something.
You gotta do something.
I mean, this is historic. Areas down there haven't seen snow since the 1800s. So like, it's in certain pockets, of course. And this is record breaking too. In Mobile, over in New Orleans, all the way over to Houston. We broke records just yesterday. And now that that storm is moving offshore, what's left behind is just some cold, dense air on the back end. So let's break this apart. Throughout the past 24 hours, we watched this major snow event impact communities from Houston all the way into the Carolinas with anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow. It was an amazing system that swept through, causing some road closures inevitably. Of course, school and work delayed or canceled. And here's what's happening for us today. We're tallying all those numbers up. We got over 7 inches in areas like Mobile. We got 3 inches in Houston. And as we take a look at what's to come, well, now it's just cold, dense air on the back end that's going to bring in temperatures still around 30 degrees below average today in areas like New Orleans all the way over into northern portions of Florida too, along the Panhandle. Now we take our eyes up to the Great Lakes. And what's happening now is interesting. Now we're seeing this lake effect snow linger into our Thursday forecast. Anywhere from 4 to 10 inches of snow is expected for us throughout the Great Lakes, anywhere from Michigan all the way over into northern parts of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and of course upstate New York too. It's going to be a very impressive next 24 hours up there. They're getting their fair share of snow while all of our friends down south are playing with theirs. And then once we head into the next couple days, really what's going to happen is we're still holding on tight to cool weather. It'll change as we head into this weekend. We'll see a little bit warmer conditions, but 30 degrees below average. A day after they just received snow, it is still chilly down there. And a little bit of a mess, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I think when things start to warm up too, they're going to have to deal with some of that snow melt. So it's fun now, but I think they're going to have a bit of a cleanup coming up.
Yeah, lots of pros, lots of cons.
There you go. Thank you, Jess.
Of course.